All right, let's go over what to expect on a test that involves Microsoft Word. All right, so we're going to just be discussing what's within the scope of a first year student at the university. So from a file tab, remember with these applications, we have what we call tabs. So there's a file tab, a home tab, insert, draw. So from the file tab, the two questions that you can expect from that tab is your properties as well as save as. So if a question asks you to update or add the properties of a document you are working with, so that's going to be from the properties, okay, file tabs. And then when you get to file tab, you then make sure that the info tab in there is selected. Okay, so once you have info tab selected on the right hand side, you will then see your properties. You click on the arrow there and say advanced properties. So this will then open up your title, subject, and the author, which are under the summary. So for our scope, it will be limited to title, subject, and author. When you get here, just make sure that you have typed everything correctly, including your spaces, the small letters, the capital letters. And if you are also required to also include the author, you would have to remove the one that you have found there and type in the one that is required from the question. Okay, and then another question you should expect from that file tab, which takes us to the file backstage view, is being able to save a file as. Okay, so this will be file, save as, and then you will have to go and browse to a location where you are expected to save this file. When you save in the Word there, just make sure that you do not type in that file extension that is .docx for Microsoft Word. Okay, so you remove .docx, and then you will say, make sure that you choose the correct location and you save. So then Windows will then type in that file extension for you. Just remember not to type it in. Okay, so under the file tab, it's your properties and save as. All right, just to know these things from your head so that when you get to a test, you know exactly where to go when you get a certain question. And then from the insert tab, you'll be expected to insert different kinds of objects. So the one object will be a picture, the other one a shape, date, table, text form, file. Okay, so this we get from the insert tab right next to your home. You can be asked to insert a picture, shape, and then please notice that every time you insert an object, then there will be an extra tab there. Okay, let's try to insert a picture, this device. Okay, I'll just go for any picture. So just notice, then we're going to have what we call a picture format. So that means any other questions now that require you to do something to that picture, it will be a picture format. So if now the questions has changed the size of the picture, going on all other tabs will be a waste of time. But then if you deselect that picture, that tab is going to disappear. So just remember that when you are dealing with this object under the insert tab, they have their own tab then. In order to access that tab, the format tab, you will have to select the object. In our case, the object is a picture. Then I can change the size. I can change the picture styles, the page border, the page picture effect. So you can get a question that requires you to add a shadow, a reflection, a glow, or a soft edge, and also the different positioning of that picture. But in order to enable the positioning, with the picture, you first have to change your text wrapping, okay, which is on the layout options. So when your picture is selected, that icon on the top right hand corner is where your layout option is. So only when you have one of those set up, then you will be able to use your position, okay, which you will find under the more layout options. Okay, there you can align this picture to the right hand side of the page, left, top, or bottom. All right, and then another object you are expected to know is the shape. Works the same as the picture. Insert again, shape. Let's just choose any other shape, put it anywhere. Immediately when we have that shape, there's the shape format, styles, fill, outline, effects. All right. And then also the sizes. And then what else do we have under the object that you can get from a test question? From the insert tab, you are also expected to know how to insert a date and time. Okay, so with this date and time, you will be required to use a certain format. If it's a day space month space year, that is that format there. They're separated by spaces, while that one is a year / month / day. All right, and you will be told whether to update automatically or not. And then this date can either be asked to be on top of the page or the bottom of the page. Do not confuse the top and header as the same thing. So if a question says on top, you'll see on the top of the document I have MS Word there. If I press enter, then the top is free. Okay, then I can insert my date there. If the question said the header, then it's the header. And then on that left hand side of the header, I can insert date and time right then and there. So just notice that those are two different locations. This date is on top, whereas that one is at the header of that document. Same goes with your bottom as well as your footer. Okay. Okay, I am at the bottom of the document there. Any line after that paragraph that ends with corner, if a question said inserted date at the bottom of a document, that's where I will insert the date, okay, at the bottom. But if it says I should do it in the footer, okay, let's just go to the bottom there, date at the bottom. But if it says it should be in the footer, then I need to be inside the footer. And then we can have a date there, two different locations. All right. Great. And then also with a table, still insert table. You can be asked to insert a table, or you can be asked to edit a table that's already typed for you. But notice it also comes with the design as well as the layout tab. And then in the design, you can expect to be asked to change table styles. That's the only thing you'd be expected then. With the layout, everything else. You can be asked to insert rows above or below, column, left or right hand side to merge certain cells. So that is merging more than one cell into one cell. The height and the width of your table to auto fit it either to content or window, and to align the text inside the table in whichever direction. So that is the layout tab that's only there when the table is selected. You'll see if I deselect that table, we no longer have the design and the layout tab. Also notice that this design that comes with the table design is not the same as that one over there. So if you are asked anything about the table, whether it's you find it there, if you find it there, then you know you select the table, you go to design and layout, okay, and you leave all other tabs alone, right? And then what is the other object? The last one would be your text form file. So this is when some text has already been typed, saved somewhere for you, and just go get it. It's still from the Insert tab on the text grouping where we got our date and time. There on the objects, you go for object and you say text form file, and you will go search for it, and then just make sure that you put it where the question says you should be. It will tell you on which paragraph, whether it should be at the beginning of that paragraph or at the end, whether you should create a space between or press enter. So just read everything carefully. Do not skip a word so that you don't get to lose some marks. So that is all with the Insert tab with regards to test questions. And then the Design tab. The only thing the only question you will get under the Design tab is if you ask to create or add page borders, like the one that I have around that document. Okay, the Design tab, after the Draw tab, right there at the end is your page borders. Okay, so limited to the scope, you will be asked to change the style, the color, as well as the width. All right, and then with the page borders, obviously then we know by now that the width comes with fractions. So we are limited to 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4, those three. But in the questions, it won't always be in a fraction form. So it might just be a decimal. So you should know which decimal is equivalent to which fraction. So your 1/2, the equivalent decimal is 0.5. 1/4, the equivalent decimal is 0.25, and the 3/4 fraction is equivalent to a decimal 0.75. So even though Word gives it in fractions 1/2, 1/4, and 3/4, the question might give it in decimals. Then you should know that this decimal is a fraction 3/4. All right. And in the Layout tab, the only question you'd get on the Layout tab is to change the margins of your page, the white space around your text. Okay, and after Design is then Layout. Margins, it will either one of those predefined or a custom margins. Okay, and then obviously if it's custom, then you will be required to go type it in. Then you will see, let's just go crazy and make it a 5 at the bottom, top, left, and right. I will just undo it. It's going to be quite big. Okay. Then we say OK. And there you'll see that the spacing on the left-hand side, top and bottom, is just way too big. All right. So we'll just undo so that we go through the one that we were at. Perfect. And then on the Review tab, expect to be asked for spelling and grammar as well as your thesaurus. And in the thesaurus, what we do, you'll get a question to change a certain word and find its synonym. That is a word that means exactly the same, but then it just worded differently. It's like a synonym of the word dark can be black. All right, or maybe not. Okay, so let's see, how do we get them? Spelling and grammar, that will be your Review tab, and then there's spelling and grammar. And then what if I want a synonym of the word want? That will be on thesaurus. And you'll see, instead of using the word want, we can go for need. And then these are the etonyms. And if you don't want to use thesaurus from the Review tab, you can just go to the word, right click on it, and you will right there find your synonyms. Okay, and then you can choose one of those, or on the question it will be clear as to which word you should replace it with. Okay, Review tab, spelling and grammar, as well as your thesaurus. The View tab you'll only use if you wish to use that ruler. You'll see we have a ruler on top there. We call it a horizontal ruler. There's also a ruler on the left-hand side. We call it a vertical ruler. Only when you need to make use of that ruler and you don't see it, you'll go to the View tab and either uncheck to deactivate it, check to activate it. All right. And then the Home tab, we do a lot from the Home tab. All right, let me go to Home tab. So you can be asked, like I'm going to choose that home to change. You might be asked to change the font type. Let's change this one and make it a Times New Roman. Notice that I don't have to go select, open, then go through all of them looking for a certain type. I can just type the first word. When I went in and typed Times, it just sees that, okay, it might be Times New Roman. When I have it, then I'm going to press enter on the keyboard, and that is okay, Times, enter, and that changed into Times. We can change the font size, and then also we can bold, italic, underline. You can get such questions. To also change the text effects, you can be asked to change the text highlight. So in terms of colors, we have text effects, a highlight color, as well as the font color. Okay, so let's see that font color, and small caps. Okay, small caps, do not confuse it with decreasing of a size or a lowercase. Those are different things. But since we don't see small caps here, we will find it on the dialog box of the font. So this dialog box, we get it on that icon that is on the right hand side corner of your font grouping. Over there, that box, you click on it, and then there is small caps. Okay, it's not your lowercase. Okay, and then format painter as well. So what if then I want this word tab stops to look like that home tab, the home word there, or text? So while I have my home selected, right on the clipboard grouping, I can go and select format painter. Then you will see that my mouse cursor will change and carry a paintbrush. So whatever that I select while I still have that paintbrush will look like the home tab. And if I want to make use of this more than one time, I will double click on the format painter and select view tab, review. And if I no longer want to make use of this, I will just press escape on the keyboard, and then the function will deactivate. All right. And then on your paragraph, hoping while we're still on the home tab, you can be asked to list. This is already in a list format. And then the question will be clear as to which type of a list you should use. So that is a solid, an open circle, or you can be asked to number. It will also be clear as to which number format to use. And then you can also expect indentation questions, whether push the list further to the right hand side or to a level 1, or no indentation. So this is to decrease indentation, and then to increase indentation. You will also you can also expect a question for the alignment. You can either be asked to left, center, right, or justify, and also your line spacing. And with your line spacing, you can also get a question. So let's create a line spacing of 2 then, double line spacing, which is 2. You'll see that the spaces in between our lines is quite bigger now. We can also be asked to change the spacing before or after a paragraph. Right then on your line and paragraph spacing, you can go for line spacing options, and there is your spacing before or after. Okay, and then also your find and replace. Find and replace on your home tab. On your editing copying, the find enables you to find any word that is in a document. Even if you have a 50-page long document and the word you are looking for is maybe on page 30, it wouldn't matter so long as you know what you're looking for. If now I type the word corner, you will see that it starts searching and finds that I have a corner there and also a corner there. And then you can go to that word and do whatever to it you are expected to do to it. And then with replace, you would be given that, okay, in the document, you have to look for a certain word and then replace it with a certain word. Okay, we call it a find and replace. So maybe look for the word corner and replace it with the word ABC. And then we say replace all, it found the words corner, 4 of them, and replaced them with the word ABC. And then also with that, if you want, you are asked to keep the case sensitivity as it is, you will say more and say match the case, so that it gives you your capital letters as you type them and the small letters as you typed them. All right. And then last, on the home tab on your paragraphs is your tab stops. Okay. If you are required then to change tab stops, you can make use of your ruler, or you can make use of your paragraph dialog box. Where's this paragraph dialog box? That icon again, just like we got small caps on the font dialog box, the small icon on the bottom right hand corner of your paragraph grouping, and then at the bottom there's a button called tabs, and then there it is. So if you are asked to select a certain paragraph starting with, so you select what it starts with and the entire paragraph of it, right? And then you will then be told the alignment. If it's center, you go center, you type in your tab and you say set. So all of them can maybe be center, or each tab can have its own alignment. So if the first tab was required to be center 12.35, that's what we do. Then let's say the second tab is required to be right aligned at 15 centimeters. Okay, then I will change from center to right alignment, go back, then type 15 and set. So the first one is left aligned or center aligned, and the second one is right aligned. Let's say the third tab stop is required to be left aligned at 17.75. So I can go now, change from right to left, type that's 17.75 and say set. Because I was changing alignments before I could set my tab stops, each of them will have different alignments. But a question can come where all of your tab stops are required to have the same set of an alignment. Okay, so those are the kind of questions you can get from a test that has Microsoft Word as part of the test. All right.